Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Retro Vintage Spider-Man Wave 2. Here we have the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. This is probably either the second or third most wanted figure from the wave. Of course, Symbiote Spider-Man being the number one. Number two, either being the Ben Reilly Spider-Man or the Spider Armor Mark 1. For me, this is probably the number 3 because Mark 1 was my number 1, Symbiote my number 2, and then the Ben Reilly Spider-Man number 3. So we have had a Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure released before, and this goes all the way back to... Oh, what wave was this? Was this the Absorbing Man wave? So we had a Ben Reilly Spider-Man, and what was really cool about that figure is it came with additional hands and a Spider Carnage head that if you had two, you could go ahead and have each version kind of displayed. Now, I'm wondering, do I even need this one? Because I really only need one, so I can have my Spider Carnage figure, and now I have an updated new Ben Reilly Spider-Man. So I might end up getting rid of them, but it was cool back then to do that. I don't know if some of these pieces will work with this new one. The blues of the hands aren't going to match, so that kind of sucks. But let's get into the review. I got lucky. One of my local Targets, I only got one of these guys in stock, and I was able to get it, so that was pretty cool. You get cool artwork of Ben Reilly Spider-Man there. It says Web Shooters. Because there's really no gimmick to him. He just has some additional hands. We have thwip hands in the package, and then he has extra fists included and wall crawling hands, so that is pretty cool. I love the Toy Biz card, the throwback to the Spider-Man animated series. Very cool. We get that same image there. We show the gimmick option, which is just changing out the hands. There's nothing to it. The rest of the figures in the Retro Wave 2, the bio reads, after years of self-imposed exile, Spider-Man is back. Now calling himself Ben Reilly and sporting a brand new costume and web shooters, the wall crawler returns to fight crime. So this is Ben Reilly Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. It is a clone of Peter Parker, which I know a lot of people absolutely hated. The clone conspiracy storyline, everything. So pretty crazy, but let's check out the figure. It's essentially the same exact thing as the retro Spider-Man figure with the added web shooters, of course, which is essentially the same as the Symbiote Spider-Man, which is pretty cool. So now we'll have 3 different Spider-Man figures using the same body mold, and it's such a good one. We need all the versions of Spider-Man to be on that body mold. So I'm going to rip this thing apart, and let's get that Ben Reilly figure out of the package. Okay, so here is the Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure out of the package, and this is a really damn good figure. This one I think everyone should pick up. Well, I mean, if you're not a fan of Ben Reilly, the Ben Reilly version of Spider-Man, then, you know, I guess it's going to be an easy pass for you. I've always been a big fan of the suit. I've always liked it. I love the large spider. You know, it's a different take on, you know, the classic Spider-Man suit, where it's close enough to be, you know, kind of the classic look, but different enough to kind of give it a new feel, which I really like. So, you know, the large spider logo on there, I've just always been a real big fan of. So now to give it in kind of the definitive, not even definitive, because this figure does have some problems, but the almost definitive Spider-Man. One thing that this figure, you know, has a problem with is the pins, because this body mold didn't go pinless. You know, we have these red pins on the insides of the knees. That kind of sucks. Luckily, the arm, it's all blue, so it hides in there, and we don't really have to worry about it. Even the retro Spider-Man had that problem because we had the 2 red pins on the insides of the arms, so that sucks. But you know, if this was pinless in the knees and the elbows, this would be you know, like a perfect figure type of thing. I will kind of show this figure next to the Mafex version. I'm not going to do like a full on comparison or anything. I'll go over the 2 looks. The Mafex is more articulated and can get it into some poses a little bit better. But you know, this is a $23 figure versus an $80, $90, $100 figure, depending on where you got it. You know, it's just, it doesn't make sense. For $25, this is really the way to go. So I will do a little bit of a comparison there. I will show the old Scarlet Spider figures and then some of the current ones there. But Yeah, this guy is looking really good. Again, thwip hands out of the package. We also get the wall crawling hands, which are cool. You see the red and black web design look on the 3 fingers. So his 2 thwip fingers are the ones that do not have that detail on the gloves. So that is pretty cool there. And then he also has a pair of fists, which I keep dropping. So thwip hands and fists. So now let's get in for a closer look at the figure. Not a whole lot. Nothing surprising here, but let's take a closer look at the details. Okay, so here's a closer look at the Spider-Man figure. This Spider-Man figure uses the same... Wait, is it the same head? Yeah, it's the same head. Wait, is it the same head? I don't know if it's the same head or not. Now that I look at it, this looks a little bit narrower here in the cheeks, where this one looks a little bit wider. The retro Spider-Man, this Peter Parker version, I've always felt the head looked a little small on the body. Here on Ben Reilly, it's not as noticeable, but I mean, you could see it a little bit, especially I think from there, it looks a little bit smaller. But now I'm debating on if the head sculpts are the same. I want to say they are, but I think maybe it's just the shades of red that are kind of throwing it off. Whereas the the Peter Parker version has a little bit of a darker red. We get a little bit of a brighter red on the Ben Reilly. But I want to say it's the same, even though it doesn't look as small, but still a little on the small side. Looking at the paint apps, all pretty clean throughout. You got to kind of watch some of the little tight spots of the curves of the muscle definition, because the black doesn't hit it all the way. It's not real sloppy or anything like that. So just be on the lookout. If you have an opportunity to look over a couple of different ones, I do recommend that. But other than that, the web lines are all done nice and clean. Here on the legs, on the outsides of the legs, we don't get it on the inside. The head, everything just looks really good. The butterfly joint, we actually get it to go almost all the way. You can see where it ends there, but that's when you get that butterfly going all the way back. I mean, even on the left, you don't even see where the paint line stops, so it's just here on the right on that little bit that's going there. But yeah, all the paint apps are all applied pretty clean. No complaints whatsoever. Yeah, looking very good. Let's zoom out for the articulation. Okay, so 3rd time's a charm with this figure, this body mold, so we'll go over the articulation. Spider-Man can look down that much. He can look up that much, which isn't so much a problem, because remember, this figure has kind of that cut in the back of the neck to help him look up. You can get the shoulder to go up, out and up a little bit. You get a full rotation in there, of course. And then you have the butterfly joint, so you can get the arm to go back quite far, and then coming forward a little bit, so you can do a little bit of that cross body, like so. Upper bicep swivel in there. You get a double jointed elbow. There are pins in the elbow, so a little bit more than 90 degrees, as you see there. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge, the standard horizontal hinge. So here on this new body mold, we get a diaphragm cut and an ab crunch. So the diaphragm cut, you can get them to pivot to the left that much, pivot to the right that much, going back that much on its own, coming forward that much on its own, not a whole lot, but we have the inverted ab crunch. So coming forward with the ab crunch and the diaphragm cut, you can get Spidey to bend down that much. Going back is kind of crazy, as he basically bends in half there. No waist swivel, but you have the handy dandy swivel at the diaphragm joint there. The legs do have the drop down feature, so you could drop that leg down. You can kick it out a little bit more than if you didn't drop it down, as you can see just there. But when you drop it down, you can go up higher with it. Legs go out that far apart. You can kick forward, which I just showed you guys. Upper thigh cut in there. You get a double jointed knee like so. So that looks good. There is a calf swivel in there, but the sculpt of it really breaks up whenever you turn it. But you do have that swivel. Foot hinges all the way down. Get some hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. Really good. The best articulated Spider-Man figure by Marvel Legends in the $20-$25 range. Such a good figure. Okay, so here are our 3 retro Spider-Man figures. So the Peter Parker classic Spider-Man that we got like 2 years ago now, or close to 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago, whenever it was. The Ben Reilly Spider-Man and the Symbiote Spider-Man. It's kind of crazy that we actually get 2 versions, 2 looks to Spider-Man with the same body mold in the same wave. Like, that's kind of crazy. I never would have thought, you know, I thought it was going to be one of those things where you kind of get 1 at a time. Definitely not 2. Now, we know that Hasbro at some point is transitioning all their package to no longer include plastic. So my worry is that the Spider-Man Retro line is going to be dead because the plastic. So maybe they wanted to just get this wave out there. Whatever else might be coming, I don't know if we're going to be getting any more. You know, X-Men is now kind of going the animated series route with those VHS boxes. So I don't know that we're going to be getting more Spider-Man figures on retro cards, which would be unfortunate because I would love to see a Kane Parker Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider, the black and red suit. I would love to see that suit get made in this new body mold. It could still happen, but I would love to see it in a retro card just to kind of match and go along with the other figures. That would be really cool. Now, I know that this figure likely isn't going to be happening anytime soon because we got 2 versions of it already, but I would like to see this Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider suit be brought out again using this new body mold. There may have to be some tweaks and adjustments to it because of the sweater over, you know, the fact that he's wearing a sweater. You know, the retro body mold doesn't really accommodate for that, doesn't really fit it. They would have to kind of sculpt a new torso at least. I don't know that Hasbro would do that. I don't know that it's necessary. This retro, the vintage Wave 2 version is really good. And then we also have the one from the Rhino Wave, which I like the red on the Rhino Wave a little bit better. You know, this one just was cool because we had the Ben Reilly unmasked head sculpt. But I still would love to see that on the retro body as well, and be on one of the Toy Biz inspired cards, because I think those would just look fantastic all together. But if they could do this figure on this new body mold, I want it, and I really want them to do Kane Parker on the new body mold. I think in time they will definitely get to that, even though, you know, this one isn't really all that old. I think they'll give it to us at some point, hopefully sooner than later, in the near future. But let's see another Ben Reilly comparison. Okay, so here we have the Marvel Legends and the Mafex. The Mafex cost me probably $80 shipped from Japan or whatever it cost. I don't even remember what the final cost of it was. But having the 2 together, they look really good. Now, they are 2 very different styles of action figures. So if you have the money to spend on a close to $100 figure because you want it to do certain things, get into some crazy poses for some really good photography, the Mafex might be the way to go for you. But at $25 after sales tax, depending where you are, of course, the Marvel Legends one is absolutely more worth your money spent, if that makes sense, because it's only $25 compared to something that's 3 times the price. Because it's something that's 3 times the price, you better believe this thing should get into more poses than that. And that's, so I don't know that that's enough for some folks. So it just kind of depends. $25. This is a really good really good figure to get. I'm not going to say that $25. Oh, no big deal, because we're, you know, $25. The price is going up, and then now we hear that they're going to be going up again. But at $25 compared to almost $100, that's really the way to go on the Marvel Legends. But again, photography and certain things, the Mafex is definitely going to get you into some better posing. The Spider logo is sculpted onto the Mafex, so they do have a unique sculpt when it comes to import figures, so that also kind of accounts for some of the pricing and things like that. But again, only $25 compared to $75, $80, $100, however much it's going for. I think the Legends is going to win all day long. And just that, in value, it's going to win. On the looks, I kind of like the blue on the Mafex a little bit better. The fact that it's all sculpted is really nice too. We get nice silver web shooters as opposed to the cheap gray plastic that's on the Marvel Legends one. So aesthetically, you know, the Mafex definitely wins it. It's got the larger lenses, eye lenses. But it's just kind of the thing. Again, the Marvel Legends is still the way better value. and is something that I probably mess around with a little bit more than Mafex, because I don't want this thing to break or fall apart, which I have had some Mafex figures, you know, arm just completely come off and I have to use all kinds of force to get that arm back on. The Legends one, it's not, you know, as fragile as an import figure. Okay, so here we have the previous Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure. So again, this was really nice. The Pizza Spider-Man body mold was really good at the time, but it kind of became outdated once they introduced a couple of new body molds, like the Spider UK body mold, as well as the all-new, all-different Spider-Man 2099. We had much better body molds at that point. So there's kind of the big difference there. These old ones use a much darker blue, as you can tell. We get a much brighter blue. The brighter blue is definitely better than the darker blue, but at least this release had the really cool thing is where you could swap out the parts to make a Spider Carnage figure, and that was just really freaking cool that you could do that, and that's the reason why I have two, so I can have my Ben Reilly Spider-Man, then I can have a Spider Carnage figure. So this one doesn't have that. Could we see something like that in the future? Oh yeah, for sure, I could see them doing that. But let's see if some of these pieces will work with this new one. The issue we're going to run into is the blues don't match. But, you know, people that customize, know how to use paint on an action figure, you know, they can make things happen. Man, I'm scared I'm going to pop the hinge off the head. Ooh, I got it. I got it. We good. We're good. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so the head fits on there, and that's looking pretty good. The reds don't quite match, but I think certain lighting and stuff, it's not really going to be an issue. Oh yeah, that's looking good. The hands probably fit too, but you know, when you don't have the matching colors, that's, you know, that's going to kind of suck a little bit, right? Yeah, hands fit on there, no problem. It's just, you know, trying to get a color match. So I'm sure lots of folks out there will be swapping out or will be repainting these hands or doing something to give yourselves a new Spider Carnage figure. But that works and will look really, really good, because then you can get them into certain poses that'll be kind of crazy. I'm not gonna even try and pose because I don't really know what I'm doing. But yeah, that could look really good. Okay, and there's my review of the Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure. I think it's a must-have, so if you see it, pick it up. If you haven't pre-ordered it, what are you waiting for? Make sure to get a pre-order in. Check the Target app, see if your local stores have it in stock. Do the pickup option if it becomes available. If not, head to your local store and see if they have it. Such a really good figure. One thing I didn't talk about earlier is I popped the head off of the vintage Scarlet Spider. The Ben Reilly head sculpt does fit on here, no problem. It fits on there, it's not going to fall off or anything. It can be a little bit wobbly, but again, it pegs on there just fine, so you can get some really cool looks and things like that. But a really nice figure. The body mold, I want to see more Spider-Mans use that body mold. You know, you guys let me know in the comments below what suit you would like to see made next using this body mold. For me, it's going to be the Kane Parker or this version of Scarlet Spider. But really, any Spider-Man would do. You know, if we can get that new body mold used, you know, where we have the butterfly joints, where we have the inverted ab crunch and the diaphragm cut and everything. You know, hopefully we'll continue to see more, whether it's in a retro line or whether it's in the main line, regular Build-A-Figure waves. You know, I want to see it, and I can't wait to see more. It took 2 years to get the figure, a year and a half or whatever, to get another figure using that body mold. Hopefully we will see it used a little bit more frequently. You know, we shall see, but you guys let me know in the comments below, again, which figure or suit design you would like to see on the same body mold. If you guys liked this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.